Okay, more fun with text. We just finished up another video on text. I'm going to start a new one, and I'm going to start going through this process a little bit quicker now that we've done a few videos. So I'm going to set up my project here. Oops. And just get things kind of going to make a new one. We're going to work with timers, and we're going to dynamically change the text on the screen to make it reflect the number of seconds that have taken place since we started. That's what we're going to do in this one. There we go. This is going to be Unity 2018 text and timers. There we go. All right, so when this thing boots up finally, I will explain a little bit more about how to do this. So we're going to create a little script in this one that is going to update the text every second. So we're going to put a little piece of text on the screen that says, time since start. And every second we're going to update that one by 1 so that it's going to look like a seconds counter. So that's what we're going to do in this little project. All right, great. Perfect timing. Okay, so last video we did a few things. We're going to change our camera color. I'm going to change background to white so it's easy to see. And I'm going to right click over here in the hierarchy, UI, text. And if I'm going too fast for you, check out the other video on text. The stuff I'm doing at the beginning, I'm going to cruise through it because we already did it. Canvas, we'll change our screen space to camera, set our camera up over here, change our screens, our UI scale mode to scale with screen size. I'll zoom out a little bit, find our text, drag it up, and I'm going to change this to time remaining, or how about time since start? 0. And I'm going to change my font color to red so it just stands out a little more. Time since start 0. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so now I want to change this 0. I want it to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I want to have happen in this one. In order to do that, we're going to have to create a script. And I'm going to right-click down here in Assets, down in this window, create C# script, and I will call it timer display. All right, so timer display. And remember, with code, as soon as we create this C# script, we type in a name. If you didn't type in a name, you can just click down here once to rename it. But if you rename it, remember, once we get into Visual Studio, the class name has to match. So our class name has to match the file name. So our file name is timer display, right here, timer display. And that has to match this right here. So as long as those two things match, we're in good shape. Okay, so let's make some notes. This is what we have to do. We want to say every second we need to update the on-screen timer by 1. That's the big picture of what we're doing. I can probably zoom in on this a little bit. So how do we do that? So in order to do that, we need to keep track of how many seconds. That's one thing we got to do. We need to start a timer that goes off every second. And some of you purists are going to say, well, this isn't technically a timer. It's a timer. I am saying it is. It's going to work. So start a timer that goes off every second, and then update the number of seconds. And then also update the screen. So these are the things that we got to do. Yes. And we're going to kind of bounce around between a few different functions for right now. But right now, let's get going here. So keep track of how many seconds. So we need a variable to do that. And that variable is going to be a member of our class. So I'm going to do it right below here. I'm going to say int seconds equals 0. We're going to start at 0, and we're going to add 1 every second. Okay. Next line, start a timer that goes off every second. Okay. So we want to start a timer that goes off every second. We're going to want to start the timer inside of start because remember this gets called when our project first starts up. So I'm going to put a little note in here that says start the timer because this is where we want to do it. We don't have a timer yet, so we need to make one. And I'm just going to type it out this way and then kind of explain what it is. If you haven't been developing in this environment or just haven't been developing, this might look kind of weird. But let me show you how we're going to do this. So enumerator, 1 second timer. Like that. And we have our open and close curly braces to let us know this is the start of our code that's going to do our 1 second timer, and this is the end. We get a squiggly break, or a squiggly line here, but that's okay. We're going to fix it. What we want to do is this 1 second timer, we want this thing to go forever. We want it to loop forever. So I can say while 1 equals 1, double equals. Well, 1 equals 1, which is always going to be true. We're going to do something. And the first thing that we need to do is wait for 1 second. So we're going to come to this line of code, wait for a second, then we're going to do some stuff, and then loop back around, wait for a second, do some stuff, loop back around. So the way we're going to wait for a second is yield return new wait for seconds 1f, or 1 float. That's going to pause us for 1 second. Okay, so 1 second elapses. What do we want to do? We want to increment our timer. So we're going to say seconds plus plus. That's a quick way to add one, plus plus. Remember, we started it out here at 0. Then we're going to come down here while 1 equals 1. We'll wait for a second, add 1 to seconds. And we'll loop around and do it forever. We have this line of code we said. Start the timer. We have to start this thing up. So we're going to say start coroutine, and it's going to be 1 second timer. So that is going to get this timer cruising. We update our variable. Now we need to update the display. Right? That was the other thing that we wanted to do. Update the screen. So somehow we need to refer to our text on the screen so that we can update the display. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to make a public variable that refers to that text on the screen. And before we do that, we have to add another using statement. So we're going to say using Unity Engine .ui. And then with that, I can say public text display text. How's that? And now I'm going to save this code. And if I flip back, if everything's okay, we're not going to get any errors down here. And we don't have any errors, which is good. Now, this script that we just wrote does us no good down here. It has to be attached to an object in the scene. And for simplicity's sake, I'm going to attach it to the canvas. So with the canvas selected on the left, I'm going to come down here to Assets, drag our timer display code over to this empty gray section. There it is. And here's our public variable, our display text. It wants to know what text are we updating, because there could be all kinds of text. If I expand canvas, here is our text that we want to update. So if I go back to canvas so that I can see this thing down here, I'm going to click and drag in one motion our text object into that. There we go. Now they're linked up. And if I go back to our code, we updated our variable. Now we've set a variable up here for our text display, so we know what it is. Now we just need to update the display. So we can say display text.text equals seconds since start colon, and then I'm going to say plus seconds, like that. So this colon, not a computer science thing at all. It's just a separator so that we can see it better on the screen. So that's it right there. Plus seconds. this going to work? Let's see. Save it. Come back. Run it. There it goes. Second. Oh, I see. So when I first started, my sentence I typed in here said time since start. And then when I hit play, the first time through, it updated it to seconds since start. Because that's what I told it to do. I like seconds since start better. So I'm going to click on my text, and I'm going to change this to seconds. Seconds since start. A lot of S's. And here we go. And now we're cruising. Wow. So that was a lot. And it wasn't that much code. Let me see. Can I get it all on one screen? Yes. I'm going to delete this update out of here because we don't need it. We're not using it in this one, so it doesn't have to be there. And that'll just make it easier to fit everything on one screen. So we've got two variables. One is the number of seconds. We're going to keep track of it. That's the number. The other one is the actual text on the screen. We made it public so we could link it up inside of Unity. In our start method, we start a 1 second timer, which is an IE numerator. It has this infinite loop, waits for a second, updates our variable, updates the display. And then in our code, inside of Unity, we attached our code to the canvas. So with our canvas selected, we dragged our code over here so that we got this timer display script. We linked up the text variable, and that's it. We hit go, and we're cruising. All right, that is timers and dynamic text in Unity 2018.